did you guys know that I discovered this recently? I've been trying to like learn more impressions lately.
Oh,
Um,
really?
but like I keep in mind I'm not that good at impressions,
Successfully?
but I'm good at like little niche things. You know, like
Yeah.
little like certain specific noises a character might make or something like that. Okay, wait, Ethan, what are impressions you've heard me do before that have been like okay, like actually okay? Because like I'm not as good as you. Okay, my Scooby
Scooby-Doo.
one. Uh,
You do Stitch, right?
yeah, I can do Stitch.
Yeah.
I can do, but what I discovered recently is I can very specifically only do Goofy's laugh.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready?
Let's do a little role play here. All right, Brandon.
Okay.
Who is your, what is your
Brandon
best
should be-
impression?
Brandon, you're good at Mickey. Why don't we do a Disney one?
Okay.
Can I be
Sure.
Donald Trump?
Donald Trump?
Okay.
Yeah.
You just need to set, because I can't do Goofy's actual voice, so you have to just set up a joke for me to laugh at.
Okay.
All right.
So Donald, see, it's Donald, but not the right Donald. See, that's gonna be the big mix-up. So that'll be the thing. So, Mickey, Goofy, and Donald are hanging out, but it's not the right Donald. So Brandon, get us started with this little improv.
Okay, I guess.
Oh boy! Howdy, Donald. How's it going?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing Mickey Mouse, everybody. Mickey Mouse is here. The little rat. He's a little rat. I hate him. But
Why are you calling me a rat?
because you were expecting Donald Duck, but it's me. It's me, Donald Trump. I was walking around downtown Disney and I saw these two characters. And honestly, they're hanging out with Crooked Hillary. All right? And Goofy over here, look at his shoes. Get this man. Don't give him his shoes. Take his shoes off, Mickey. Don't give him back. Take his shoes off.
No, they're mine.
Tickle him. Tickle him. All right, tickle him now.
Here you go.
All right. That fucking sucked. Not your impression. That whole scenario was just so stupid. But that was a good Goofy laugh. That was a good Goofy laugh.
All right.
Did somebody really press you in like you know how like there's not the Stay Puft Marshmallow, the Pillsbury Doughboy, how you tickle him, like he comes out with that like you know, did somebody tickle you and then you Goofy laughed, or like how did you figure out you got that?
Because I think I realized that like Goofy's laugh is like a cough and a chuckle at the same time. Because like
Oh.
All right.
Can anyone do Donald Duck? No.
No, that was awful.
Yeah, no, I can't do Donald Duck. Anyways, welcome back to Stacked Episode 84.
No, that's not good.
Hey, we're moving on. Welcome back to Stacked Episode 84, everyone. It is the 84th episode. The 84th week. No, probably not the 84th week of us recording this because we've had after hours. Yeah, we're here. We're back. We're gonna be talking about some movies. By the time this comes out. No, sorry, Donald Trump's gone. We will have posted our first audio commentary. So let us know what you think of that. Was it fun? Did you have a good time? Listening to that? Let us know what other movies you'd like us to do in the comments of this video or the commentary highlight reel that I'm literally in the middle of uploading right now, but YouTube is giving me so many fucking problems with it, and I'm getting so mad at it. It's giving me PTSD of when I tried to upload my thesis. And that made me mad because like I couldn't even fucking upload my thesis for like my grade because of YouTube being a douche. So I had to cut stuff. But yeah, we're here. Chris, how are you?
Good. Yeah, things have been good lately. I mean,
Yeah.
I on behalf of Brandon and I, we want to apologize to our viewers for missing last week. We've already addressed it on Twitter, because we had a big stink about it. No, okay. So if anyone doesn't know, we went traveling. By the time this comes out, 2 weekends ago. And yeah, we went traveling, and the day we got back, the morning of the day that we usually record. But I guess like we were all so exhausted from the trip and like traveling and everything.
Jet lag. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that. And Ethan unfortunately had to work that day, so he powered through that like a trooper. But Brandon and I, Brandon, did you work that day or did you have the day off?
Oh, I had the day off.
Okay. So yeah, Brandon and I both didn't have work that day, so we both kind of just went home, took care of our shit, and then we both happened to sleep through our recording session, even though I set alarms to wake me up, but I slept through them. And yeah, so we did miss last week's episode, but I figure, this is our show.
Yeah.
Fuck the schedule.
Fuck you. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm not
I
mad.
woke up at 7:30, and then I said, "Let's not."
I woke up at midnight and I was like, fuck
I know.
me.
I woke up to your text because I went to bed before midnight, and I woke up and I just saw, oh fuck me. I'm like, oh, this dude's sleep schedule is ruined.
I will say though, I went to bed right after and woke up at 8 a.m. again. Like somehow.
Holy shit!
I slept for like.
You
I
hibernated.
mean, Chris, you got the
hibernated.
least amount of.
You
sleep.
did get the least amount of sleep.
Yeah,
that
I remember
weekend,
I
probably.
kept record in our first day, 2 days, within 40 hours, I slept 30 minutes. Which is easily the most like the longest I've gone without sleeping in my life, but it was well worth it. That was a great trip.
Who slept the most?
Jack,
Like
probably.
No, Joey.
No other.
Joey and Jack probably.
Because
That'd be my
Joey
guess.
would just be out in the car, right?
Oh yeah, he slept on the plane.
Plane.
Yeah, and he slept on the plane.
Joey says he's not good at sleeping on moving vehicles, but he did it the best out of. But yeah, so apologies, folks, for missing last week's episode. But here we are.
I don't
and
apologize to
We're
them.
talking about I think a pretty apt conversation point.
Yes.
With the topic, I think this has been a long time coming. Stack. I think we've all had very interesting thoughts and feelings about this topic. And what topic is that? Well, you already know. You clicked on the title. It's modern blockbusters, non-superhero modern blockbusters.
Yes.
Want
to tell us why?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Well, I will tell you what prompted us to choose this movie in a bit, but that'll kind of come naturally on its own. I feel like.
Yes.
But in terms of like why this is such an important topic to us, is that like we've talked pretty extensively in the past about like the film industry with the rise of like franchise IPs over the last like 10 years especially, and the repercussions that has had on the film industry, especially on the indie film market, but also on blockbuster filmmaking itself, as well as audiences and how they understand the art of film. And like personally speaking, I've often been of the position that film is like an ever-evolving medium, and it's kind of like, it's not really for me or other people to tell people like what should happen or whatever, but this is more just us sharing our opinions and thoughts about how things have transitioned over the years. And I do think it's important that we take note of these changes and discuss what provoked them, so that we can continue to strive for great filmmaking. And what that means is up to the individual. And let's be clear here, like I think everybody listening knows, we are not haters of superhero movies. No. We love them just as much as anyone else. We watch all of it. The shows.
Listen to all of our stacked after hours. That'll say enough. We love it.
We all grew up loving these characters, and we continue to up until today. So but nonetheless, we thought today would be a great opportunity to share a couple of our picks for great modern blockbusters without the superheroes that I think we've all become kind of like normalized as like a part of just like film culture.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, like, how did you guys approach making this stack? Because like I kind of did mine as kind of like I wanted mine to be like a pretty like removed from like the discourse like portrait of what mega modern blockbusters are like and what I hope they can be, and also what a darker side to them, if you will. But I want to hear, did you guys have an approach to doing this in a certain way? Like Brandon, how about you?
I think I was like, first of all, let me look through all of my the action films from the 2010s, since we're focusing on the modern ones, of course. And what came out after the superhero movie that wasn't trying to be a superhero movie. Because nowadays I feel like that's all you see from studios. They're trying to replicate that, even if it's not a superhero movie. Like, I really like the first Sonic movie and the second Sonic movie, but to be honest, they kind of echo the same beats as a superhero film, even though it's not a superhero character. You know what I mean? So I wanted to like delve into like different aspects of like the blockbuster, not genre, but type of film, and see how it's departed from the formulaic storytelling that we sometimes get in superhero movies. And that doesn't mean they can't be different and unique. Like, we just got the Batman this year. We got Eternals last year, both of which I feel like differently stride to do something different beyond the superhero, like normal cliches and stuff like that. Even if they do contain superheroes, but something like that's outside of that genre, because like you said, like we're not haters of superhero films on this podcast. We like them quite a bit. It's just when you get the same food fed to you over and over again, it's like, okay, but give me something different. And maybe like most audiences don't feel that way, but when you're oversaturated in a market like this, it's like, it's nice to have something different every once in a while.
Right. Yeah, I think I defined this by two things. Like, first you got to define what a blockbuster is, you know, because we're talking about non-superhero movie blockbusters. I think there are two essential things to a blockbuster. I think it's got to have spectacle, some sort of spectacle. That doesn't have to mean action spectacle. There can be spectacle in drama, you know, spectacle in music, you know, spectacle in dance, something like that. You know, it has to have some sort of spectacle that sort of elevates modes of filmmaking, you know. And then I think it's got to have mass appeal. So you know, not there can be like really intense R-rated films with spectacle, but I don't know if I'd call those blockbusters, because that's not really necessarily accessible to all audiences. There are some R-rated films that have found that mass appeal, you know, which I bet we'll talk about a few of them on this episode today. But there are some big spectacle R-rated films, like, I don't know,
John Wick?
No.
Oh.
I would say, yeah, those are, I'd say, blockbusters, because those do gain mass appeal. But I'm thinking of like R-rated films that have spectacle, but I wouldn't necessarily call a blockbuster. You know,
Nobody.
Nobody,
yeah. Unfortunately,
because that's just an action film. It's not a blockbuster.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, I know that you know.
Yeah.
Because you brought it up. I was just expanding on it because it's a podcast and we just talk about each other's points.
I just don't know if you wanted examples or not.
I was looking for examples, and I thank you for that fucking example. Jesus. All right.
You guys bicker like an old couple.
That's what happens when we live together.
When we live together.
Yeah,
you know,
we're in each other's heads.
Everyone sees the bickering side from this relationship on the podcast, but they don't see the other side either, you know, when the mics are turned off and it's just me and Brandon in our apartment, and
we're cuddling in bed together. It's crazy.
Talking about the MCU. and how
really
we think
makes
Miss
your
Marvel is
girlfriend
going to turn out.
Yeah.
I
I just wish she had more comic accurate powers, you know?
Yeah, to me, it just seems like she's just Green Lantern. I don't know. Oh, God. All right. Enough of that. Let's. Should we get to the picks, boys? But let's go over the rules of the show, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once a week, we consider a topic or theme and go our separate ways to construct our own 3-film stack. Then, after a week, we come back here on the podcast and share our own stacks, one film at a time. Then, at the end of the show, we will mix and match our 9 films to make the ultimate decision what quintessential 3-film stack we are checking out of this hypothetical video store. Chris, you are up first, bro. What's our first non-superhero modern blockbuster?
I think this is a no-brainer pick for me. I'm sure you guys saw it coming. I not only fully endorse this movie for a stack, but I also thought this would be a great conversation point, because I think we all kind of feel similarly about what this movie means, and roughly similar on how we feel about its quality. I'm thinking Top Gun Maverick came out literally 2 days ago.
I went through the danger zone.
Copyright strike. Copyright strike.
Copyright
I'm
strike.
trying to make Ethan do less editing.
Stop
Alright.
it.
Top Gun Maverick. Okay, no double stack?
No. I
No?
thought about them.
All right. Well,
I think we all knew you were gonna pick it.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't that. It was that I have another movie in mind that is within a different category.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I did definitely want to pick this movie for the stack, but also yes, I did think this is a great conversation topic. Anyway, for anyone who might not know, to those who might not know, this is a sequel to the 1986 film Top Gun. It's a legacy sequel, a movie, and I remember watching that first Top Gun movie on our flight to Pennsylvania a few weeks ago. And to me, I feel like the three of us kind of roughly agree, and I know some people really do love this movie, but for me, the original is a solid movie. It's fine, it works well, it's good, it's enjoyable, totally serviceable movie. I enjoy it. Not a favorite, but yeah. But I was very eager to see what gets brought to the table with Top Gun Maverick, because the trailers looked fantastic, and I was just excited to see, a great action movie that wasn't, like a Marvel property or anything like that. And I knew I wanted to get that spectacle, but I found a whole lot more than I bargained for when I walked into that movie. And I remember sitting in that IMAX theater opening night, and it just blew me away. I went to that movie with really low expectations. I just wanted good action. And I definitely got that, but also so much more. What I really found was a legacy sequel that does exactly what a sequel should do. And that's like honor what came before, build upon it, and introduce new elements to further the characters, story, and the craft to exceed the original film. And that's literally down to everything, whether that's like the photography, the thrilling action, the drama between the characters. Everything in this film is, at least to me, a lot better than the original. It does bear that same 80s blockbuster cheese of the original, but marries it with this very like tactile modernity that it kind of gives it this like perfect balance and tone between the two. And one thing I remember, and I know this is probably a big conversation point with this, is that the thing that I appreciated most about this movie is, and we've talked about this before, about how we feel about modern blockbuster pacing, where oftentimes it feels like movies are just like cranking through a script, set piece to set piece to set piece, and just kind of going about these paces without giving us room to breathe with the characters, to feel what they're feeling and understand what they're going through in the drama of the film. And yeah, I think it works really well, and there's a humanity behind a lot of what we see in this movie, even with all the craziness and spectacle of the jets and all that stuff. And like, I think that's a really powerful thing. There's also a really interesting angle I've found on this film about how Tom Cruise delivers a performance that I think is one of his best in many years. And it's interesting because it's, in a weird way, it's kind of, at least to me, it read as kind of meta, where the movie kind of tugs at his age and mortality in the contemporary media landscape as a whole. It's interesting to see how practicality, where pilots versus like drones and advanced technology, and how that differs and how that correlates alongside Tom Cruise's position within the world of blockbuster filmmaking. Yeah, I can gush about this movie all day. I love so much about this movie, but I don't want to take up the whole episode and just talk about Top Gun Maverick. But I just want to say, like, it is a Top Gun movie at the end of the day, and I know that's not for everyone. But if that is what you want, I guarantee you'll get just that and a whole lot more than what you asked for. It's my favorite movie of the year so far, but then again, competition's going to get really harsh this year, going into fall especially. And yeah, this movie's a banger. I loved it. Brandon, you gave this movie the same rating as me. What did you think of it?
I dislike the original Top Gun. I gave it 2.5 because I think it's kind of impressive that they did that for 1986, but I don't care about the story in that movie. It's so cliche and boring. I think Tom Cruise's performance is one of his weaker of his early movies. And I think it is like the most. I remember watching it like way when I was in high school. So that's like the perfect time to watch that movie, I feel like, jets, men like fighting with each other in their early like 20s. It's like that's like the era you should watch it. And I was like kind of like this is kind of mid. And more like mid-gun according to Ethan. But when I was like seeing the trailers for this, I'm like, first of all, who asked for this movie? This sequel, this legacy sequel to this 80s movie that is seemingly a cult classic, I feel like. Second of all, I'm so annoyed with these trailers, having watched it for 2 years and been like,
yeah, bro.
Like, because it's supposed to come out in like what, mid 2020, and then they delayed it because of COVID like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And I remember just being so like, okay, this movie is unenchanting as ever to me. Like, I don't really care. I remember seeing Doctor Strange in 3D, IMAX 3D, and seeing an extended preview, and I was like, all right, let's see what this got, I guess. And I was like, it's all right. But then walking into the movie, I walked in with like middling expectations because my expectations were slightly raised by the reviews from it. Like when the movie gets high praise from like a Cannes audience or something like that, it's like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was really impressed by it. It is my favorite, probably one of my favorite non-superhero action movies since like Mad Max Fury Road. From right off the bat, like it definitely echoes the originals in a lot of ways, in the sense that it plays upon the same structure as the opening of it, but it doesn't do it in a way that is like shallow, because it takes the character of Maverick and P. Mitchell, I don't think in the original film he's that compelling of a character. He's cocky, unlikable, and he learns his lesson over the course of the movie, but like I don't think he's like compelling in any way. Immediately with the opening sequence, he is made compelling by the fact that he's in the same place as he was 30 years ago, basically, just in more technologically advanced era. And that's fascinating. And not only is that playing with Tom Cruise's age, but like the movie star, like the idea of the movie star taking over and like being run out by bigger, more technologically advanced things, like we were talking about with the superhero movie and in general with just technology. And it has a certain tangibility to it that is like unlike other blockbusters we've seen. Like I don't think a single shot in this movie looked fake. Even like scenes where they probably use CGI. No, for sure. And what impressed me most was the character and storyline, because that carried the movie for me. And then it made the moments of action, which were really well directed, even better. The sequence at the end is so well choreographed because the whole movie's building up to that. But then there's more to it and more personal stakes and more stakes to like the action than you first like realize. Like things go wrong. And that's okay, because that allows the audience to like be like, well, what's going to happen? Because we've had this certain idea choreographed all the way through. And walking out, I remember telling Ethan, I was like, the biggest flaw of the movie, and this is like an 80s thing, a legacy sequel thing, is that it is archetypal in the sense that you do expect what's going to happen. It's very predictable in that sense, but it earns it because it misdirects you. Like how Avengers Endgame sort of misdirects the audience right after the snap back of all those people because they get bombed by Thanos' ship. And that automatically shifts their focus, and Top Gun does the same thing. And that's what makes it incredibly impactful. I could go on like you forever about this movie. I think it's my second favorite of the year. Didn't make me cry, but it almost did.
It almost got me too.
I was
surprised.
Like the scene with Val Kilmer was really, really
Beautiful.
touching.
Oh,
yeah.
spoilers.
Also very, Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the credits.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, just real quick touch on that. Like, the way they handled Val Kilmer's scene, like, very respectful to him. I think
Yeah.
like the way because like I don't want to get too far into like his personal life, but he has gone through some um unfortunate like medical situations. Um, and I think the way they handled it was so delicate, but also very poignant and like you can tell like it felt like in that scene like of course you're talking like it's the characters but there's almost kind of like subtext between Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer as friends and
Yeah.
it works well. Anyway, I digress. Ethan, your thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, so like Brandon, I am not a fan of the first Top Gun. I used to think it was okay the first time I watched it. I watched it at the request of our film history professor, Mr. Kia Afra. It's his favorite
Woo,
blockbuster
Kia.
of all time.
Yeah.
He'd always used to tell us that in the first Top Gun, you could taste the jet fuel, in the opening scene, and I thought it was pretty funny. And then I rewatched it. I watched it the first time, thought it was okay, and I decided to rewatch it before Maverick. And yeah, I think Top Gun's pretty mid-gun. It's like, I think there's no real focus in the movie. Like you can't tell what their mission is, and if you could boil down to it, it's like an exercise. It's like a thing. It's like a narrative about Maverick's ego and how like he sort of learns to humble himself throughout the film.
Yeah.
Which is also very loosely what it's about. The action sequences aren't good. You can barely tell what's going on when they're flying because it's these super fast jet planes being shot on film. They can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
So I was going into Top Gun Maverick with okay expectations, knowing like having seen the first one, and I was blown away. I think Top Gun Maverick literally does everything better than the first movie. Like from the Kenny Loggins needle drop from the very beginning, like I had goosebumps. Like it's the exact same scene as the first movie of just the jets taking off the sun, like in the sunrise or sunset to danger zone. But it's something about this version, like just with it's just higher bass sound editing, and seeing it in a theater just made me so hyped, and that song is such a banger. That is the only song I've been listening to this weekend, just over and over again while I've been like cleaning the house.
Yeah, I've been listening
and
to soundtrack
driving around.
So
Danger Zone is such a good song. Kenny Loggins is a legend, dude.
yeah.
But yeah, there's actually like some good narrative here with like the son of Goose. We got Rooster and like how Tom Cruise has been like taking care of him. Yeah, and the other pilots have like, in the first movie there's just Iceman, Maverick, and Goose, and you can't really know anybody else. But here you got Hangman, you got Bob, you got Fanboy,
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix, and it's just like you get to know all the pilots in Top Gun, and
Yeah, dude,
it's a movie about building. It's about building a team rather about one person learning like their place, and I just love that. Like the team building montage, rather like the first film, it's the homoerotic like volleyball scene. Here it's not as sexual. It's a football on the beach scene, but it's still like really fun, and just like. You're just like, damn, I want to be part of that team. I want to be playing football on the beach with those guys. And then when it gets down to what?
I don't know about you guys, but I felt that romance was done far better here.
The romance was too,
yeah,
even though this character wasn't in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a different character. When I saw the trailers, I was like, oh, did they like
recast Kelly McGillis?
I'm glad. I think it was tasteful that they didn't recast because like
I agreed. Yeah,
agreed.
The reason why everyone thought it was gonna be recast is because the original actress like she hasn't aged like Hollywood, like a Hollywood star. She's aged like a normal person would in her 60s. And that unfortunately for Hollywood standards, that's not good. So that's why she wasn't in this movie. So they got someone new and. Jennifer Connelly's character was great, and the romance, it was great. It was great to see, like
a middle-aged romance, like play out.
Yeah, middle-aged romance.
Middle-aged romance.
Cute.
It was really cute. And it was just like And then the final mission was third act was so great. I was so happy that I could understand what their goal was. You know, what was Top Gun's goal? I could not tell you what Top Gun's goal was in the first movie. It was just like, bad guys, fly, get them, you know? But this is like, we have this thing, we have to do it, we have to execute a plan, we're going to train for this plan. That's the movie. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm on board. I get that 100%, you know? And I was so pleasantly surprised. I think a few of my complaints, I would say sort of, they go back around on Maverick's journey in this film. It's like he pulls a complete 180 from the first film, which is like, it's this dude. The first film was someone who thinks he's special, learning he's not, and now he's someone who thinks he's not special, learning that he is, which is a little awkward. But I love its intertextual narrative, like what it's saying that
With
about
Goose
that
and
outside
Rooster.
the frame of the film, with Tom Cruise literally being like one of the last movie stars. I think that's just, I ate that up, you know. But other than that, like besides a few pacing issues and maybe a few performances from the younger actors, except for fucking Glenn Powell, holy shit, that dude's a star.
That guy's a star. He's gonna be a
Hangman.
star.
I've seen I've only ever seen him in Everybody Wants Some. He was my favorite part of that
And
movie.
Spy Kids 3D.
And he was in Spy Kids 3D. I keep forgetting that he was in that movie. But I saw Brandon on Twitter. That dude should be Human Torch.
Yep.
It is like
Yeah.
that. He
Yeah,
was
he should be
made
Human
for
Torch.
Human Torch. Holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
he's perfect. He's absolutely perfect. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
God,
Yeah.
inspire
He
your
is-
choice.
he is- yeah, wow. He really
put him
yeah,
with
he
John
really is good.
Krasinski. Like, I'll forgive John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. You know, I don't think it's the most inspired choice, but if everybody loves it, that's fine with me. Put Glenn Powell as Human Torch, and then
It's a
Emily
good
Blunt as
contrast.
Invisible Woman. Fuck, that's good. You know, I don't know who to put his thing yet, but those three. That's
Michael
three.
Chiklis, bring him back.
Bring out.
Michael
They
Chiklis.
honestly could. Why not? Like, they brought back J. Jonah Jameson, and he'd look different probably because he'd be CG, you know, and a bigger thing. Why not? You know. Anyways,
Yeah.
well, why are we talking
Anyways.
about superheroes on the non-superhero episode where we
Sorry,
wanted to stray away
Top
from
Gun, Top Gun, Jet Fuel.
Jet Fuel,
What
Jet
else
Fuel.
is good?
I could
just
taste-
think it's
Jet
very
Fuel.
nuanced.
Taste the Jet
Very
Fuel.
nuanced
I could-
movie.
Yes, I could taste the jet fuel with this one, Kia.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also,
Okay.
yeah. That's all I have to say about Gun Maverick. It's a wonderful movie. I hope everyone goes check it out. It's a great movie to go see in a crowd. Spend the extra money for IMAX or Dolby.
Yes.
Do it. It's worth it.
It'll
trust
shake
it.
your sheets. You'll think you're there.
Yeah,
Do you say it'll shake your
Dolby,
cheeks?
your Dolby clenches your cheeks.
You'll be clapping your cheeks to this movie. Woo! Okay,
Alright,
let's move
that's
on.
the
We
danger
spent
zone
half
I'm
an hour
breaking.
on this movie.
What's
We're already-
the hard deck? That's the deck we're hitting right now.
Shut up, man. We're already 30 minutes into this episode. And we've only got to talk about one film. Let's get through these other ones. All right.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
let's
good.
do it.
I'm up next with my first film. Brandon said this didn't count, but I'm counting it. I'm picking Sonic 2
Nope.
as
Nope.
because I think I consider a superhero movie as non-Marvel and DC and has to be a human character. I don't think Sonic's a superhero movie. I think it is an action adventure film and a video game movie. The reason why I chose this is because I think this is one of the best family-friendly adventure films that we have seen hit the big screen in a long time. Like, we get a lot of family films that are either Pixar movies and Disney movies or are just doo-doo feces jokes for kids, you know? But here with Sonic, you actually get some real substance, something that everybody can enjoy, and something that's even more impressive is a film that's actually breaking truly. I think this one's the first one that truly breaks the video game curse, where the last two films that I think sort of broke it, Detective Pikachu and the first Sonic, like, I can see why you don't like those movies. This one, I'm like, I don't understand how you can not have like just a good time with this one, you know? And it's just refreshing to see like video game lore adapted to the big screen. Like this 90s video game lore adapted to the modern day big screen. I know I am a big Sonic fan. If you've listened at all to the podcast, you've probably picked that up. So I think they did all of the adaptations correctly, characterizations of Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Eggman, the whole kit and caboodle, doing a great way of bringing it into sort of modern filmmaking with a retro flair. My only complaint would be like, I think the score was pretty meh. Like I feel like they could have used some of the jazzy scores from the original Sonic games, but anyways, and I do think there was some pacing issues, but other than that, like when I saw this a preview screening with a bunch of Sonic fans and families in the theater. They were losing their minds. It was the most energetic I've ever seen a movie since Endgame. And so seeing that, I was like, wow, this was really one of the very like first non-superhero blockbusters to truly succeed in that audience engagement since Endgame. And that's why I had to include it on the list. Brandon, you disagree. You're drooping your face. What do you have to say?
I like Sonic 2. It just dropped out of my top 10 for the year because Top Gun Maverick, but it's a very good movie. I will die on a hill on that. I will defend this movie. I almost cried during this movie. And I was like,
I
why
did,
is
but
this
you
your...
did. I don't understand.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have no connection to Sonic as a character at all when it comes to the video game or anything to do with him, because the only thing I know him from is like Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games or Smash Bros. So like those games don't really give you a story or anything, or that Sonic dub that those fans did. Like I don't know anything outside of that. And when I watched Sonic 2, I was like, I thought the first one was a good movie, but like if I rewatch that movie, I kind of think my opinion on it will droop, because I think when we first watched it in theaters together, Ethan, I was just like, I was high off the energy in the room, and it was possibly one of the last theaters we were going to be seeing due to COVID.
Yeah.
So I was just like, this is going to be good. And this time I was definitely enchanted, not just because I was in the worst experience possible, where I was surrounded by children at a matinee showtime for this on a Saturday.
Oof.
And I'm like, oh God, this is going to be awful. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wait, this movie's actually like really good, because it's operating on, and kudos to the Blockbusters this year for the most part, for getting multi-layered character development things to happen, because there's things happening with Sonic, Knuckles, James Marsden's character, and Tika Sumpter's character, as well as Tails, that all tie into the same collective journey of becoming this like found family that only works because the first film set it up so well. And I really enjoy this movie, but I do think the first Sonic and this Sonic do follow the same structure as like a superhero movie, where the first one is more of like an origin story. This one is more of like that team up story where like you have the superhero shot of the spoilers at the end, where they're facing off against the Eggman robot. And I'm not going to spoil it any much further, but it just feels like in terms of structure, it definitely follows that. I don't think it is 100% that, but they even make like references and homages to like the Batman movie and the Marvel, and like him being called Blue Justice. And that's where it kind of that's where it falls into the superhero category. Not that it is a superhero movie. I just feel like it borrows heavily. Not that it's like that holds it back from being a very good movie. I think it is one. I think everybody should check it out. It's not just a movie for kids. Yes, there are occasionally a Fortnite reference or something like that, but I don't think that drowns the movie. It's like there's like a dance sequence in the movie that it contains a song that should have probably been in a kids movie 4 years ago.
Yeah, but someone explained it to me well, why that's in the movie, why they chose that song. It's Uptown Funk, by the way, Chris, since you haven't seen the movie. But
oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's why. Here's why they chose that song. So, the music of Sonic the Hedgehog is very much based on like in the movies. They've always used like 90s pop hits in the movies, you know, for the trailers and throughout the film, because that's the era.
Gangster's
Paradise. Yeah, that's the era that Sonic became the most like that's when he was created. That's when he was
nostalgia
the biggest.
bait. Yeah.
Yeah. Uptown Funk is a song that heavily inspires from 90s funk and pop. And that's why they used it as a good way to explain, like, why would they have that song in the first place, you know? And why he'd be listening to a song that's somewhat more relevant and popular, you know, but still has those roots in the 90s. So I think that's why they used it. I still think it's stupid because it's still a song that came out in 2014 that they're using how many years later? 8 years later? Yeah. I don't know. But it's still super fun time. Jim Carrey's at his peak here as Dr. Eggman, Dr. Robotnik. Check it out if you haven't, you know? Chris, what do you think? You've never seen any of these movies. What's
never
up?
seen a Sonic movie. I don't know. It just never happened.
Do you play any Sonic games?
Happens to follow. No, I mean, like every now and then, I think I would find one on like my Game Boy or something, but it was never like a regular part of my rotation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thumbs up from Chris. Okay,
Thumbs up.
That's all I need. That's all I need. Hey man, thumbs up. Okay, Brandon, what's your first film?
All right, so I separated mine into 3 different kinds of blockbusters. My first one, I'm going to tackle a genre that has been popular since like the late 2000s with the young adult film. Those like took off with Twilight, so I'm picking a 2013 sequel. I'm picking Hunger Games: Catching Fire.
Nice.
Whoa.
Did not think of Hunger Games. Nice.
Huh.
Okay.
Right.
Because I feel like it captures such like a niche market, you know, the young adult, like, but it's a large market because all these kids, like, I remember growing up in like when Harry Potter and Twilight and like, what is it, like the Brandon Moss novels, I forget, Fablehaven or something like that. Well, every one of those took off. Percy Jackson, everybody would pick up and read because it was like a book club and everybody at school had to be in on the current like new trend. And then it was after Hunger Games, it was like Divergent and Maze Runner and stuff like that. And the movies followed, you know, with the success of each of these giant stories and giant, not crossovers, but like dystopian universes and magical universes in certain cases came movie adaptations. And I think the first Hunger Games is kind of mid, like very interesting style to experiment with this story, like very grounded, very gritty, grimy, but I don't think it doesn't have the brutality that the novels suggest, especially because, you know, if it's a young adult novel, they're not going to make a Hunger Games story rated R, even though it very much deserves to be. But with Hunger Games: Catching Fire, you've got a film that improves upon the predecessor in every possible way, much like a Top Gun Maverick, because I feel like it has more of a political intrigue behind it rather than it just being about kids killing each other for sport for live television. And then there's there's other things that it's tackling, like the interpersonal relationships between the lead character and the characters of the world. You've got Lenny Kravitz and Elizabeth Banks and Stanley Tucci playing great versions of this socialite district, which is really interesting. You've got a political regime that is like borderline totalitarian, that is trying to like make people have a certain public opinion about other people. And then the action's terrific as well, like great CGI, the awesome aspect ratio change in the middle of the movie. I know it gets talked about a lot on Twitter, but like when she goes into the arena, there's like a definite switch between this political grounded subtext to a massive open world that's always changing. That's a crazy environmental thing. And it's got a lot going on. Yeah, it's probably the most liked of this quadrilogy. But I think it nails, like, I think it does the best of all of them, of the concept of the Hunger Games. You know, I'm not excited for the prequel that's coming out, but this is a banger. Prequel? Yeah, it's gonna be with President Snow or something like that.
When he was like a baby,
when he was younger, yeah.
It's like, and I'm like, okay. It's called Young President Snow, and he's got the bow tie. No. And he's pulling it.
Can they call it Snowball?
Snowball.
No, it's called The Ballads of Sonic and Snakes or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird, cringe. But yeah, really good movie. Not as divisive as the sequels, but I feel like a better depiction of the Hunger Games than the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think Catching Fire, I think it almost universally is considered the best one, but I don't know if someone else has opinions on that.
Same with the books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Catching Fire for me, I remember seeing that and just being like, yeah, this is very good. Like a big step up from the first one. It is hard to follow with the following movies, but this one is really really great. One thing that really stood out to me is like the first movie kind of felt like a movie that like kind of throws you into the world, but this one kind of explores it and the implications of the politics, the effect it has on the people and stuff like that. It's the movie that really makes you passionate about this world and the story of the characters.
I think
'Cause
that's
the first one's
purposeful.
kinda like go, but this one's like, okay,
Yeah.
let's actually like develop shit and like explore ideas and stuff like that. So that's why, yeah, I think this is the best one of the bunch. Um, yeah, not much else to say about this movie. It the Hunger Games has like it's kind of disappeared from our like collective cultural like discourse because they don't make movies about this anymore, but they are making a prequel, so maybe it'll come back. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Catching Fire is a great movie and a great modern blockbuster. Ethan?
Yeah, I remember being pleasantly surprised with Catching Fire because I remember seeing the first Hunger Games, wasn't being too impressed. It was too shaky cam and dull and
Yeah.
teen movie. But I thought this one was really cool. I think it had like a great action sequences, and like you're right, the moment where she's going up into the arena, that's also a famous aspect ratio change. Do you remember that or was that the first? No, this is this movie when like the aspect ratio like grows as she's going up the elevator. That was pretty cool.
It's a good way to hide it.
I honestly can't tell you anything else that happens in this movie. I remember she doesn't she shoot an arrow into the force field, comes crashing down or some shit. I don't know.
Well, so I could tell you, I am a really big fan. I think this is the best young adult franchise probably to come out. Like I feel like this is the best way they've adapted them. Even the sequels, I'm quite a fan of those too. More than most. But like I think there's a lot of moments if you're like a fan of the book series that kind of are really well translated, like when she goes to like the President Snow's party and he like courts her, or when sorry
no,
sorry
you're good.
I was
it's been
distracted.
a while since
I thought
you've
you
seen
were
it.
No, I thought there was like a message on Discord, but it wasn't. I was like, was there something I needed to know? But it was just Craig joining.
Right, stop talking about they're listening in.
No, the scene where because they fake a pregnancy to basically gain public favor, which is like a very reality TV thing to do. Because this, like Chris said, like that was one of the pivotal moments of the book, is like when they're trying to make it so that they're likable because they're the loving people that got away with a co-win in the first Hunger Games movie, which is like never allowed. So like there's a lot of political intrigue there, and you've got Katniss's personal story and her fame, and juxtaposing like her fame with her previous life, which was kind of like, she was just a normal kid who was like in this tortured society and impoverished too. So I think it expands upon it in a lot of ways, and the action's really impressive as well. I really want to give it a rewatch sometime. But I think it finds the biggest mass appeal, and because it's a young adult franchise that actually worked.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I just don't really remember much from it. I don't know. I didn't watch the other two after this one. I was like, that was pretty cool. And then I was just like, wasn't curious at all to see how it ended up.
I think it's interesting, but I think your mileage varies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good, unique first pick. Was not expecting that, even though the Hunger Games franchise was huge. I remember it was huge back in the day. And back in the day being 2014. Anyways, let's get into the second round here at 50 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
This is basically the stacked plus Top Gun review. Like that's what this episode of Stacked was.
Yeah. All right, don't worry. I can make my next ones real fast.
Me too.
I'm not going to do that.
I'm picking Skyfall. Sam Mendes' Skyfall.
Oh, Bond. Yes. Classic blockbuster franchise.
I felt like somebody had to pick Bond, and I felt like it was gonna be Brandon or me, because Brandon's seen the most Bond movies of all of us, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, Skyfall. It's pretty universally considered the most it's pretty universally considered the best modern Bond movie. Like especially among especially if you break down the Daniel Craig ones. Some people like Casino Royale a bit more, but I'm a big Skyfall guy. Yeah, very cleanly made film. Character arcs are great. Good acting chops from everyone. Great action sequences. It's your classic Bond movie. It's got like everything that you want, but it's also a very dramatic movie with a lot of character depth especially between Bond and M. And I have a bit of a man crush on Q. I think he's adorable.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
He could have a man crush
but
on you, because he's gay.
oh, okay.
You just shattered Chris's world.
But the reason I pick Skyfall in the context of this stack is that I find it interesting to like dissect James Bond as a character in relation to modern blockbusters. I think we've talked about in the past about how like Bond has kind of fallen under some scrutiny in terms of like his hyper masculine and very womanizing persona, and whether or not he's kind of becoming a little tiresome as a character, and whether or not he's going to evolve and change over time, or if he's just going to fall into like a relic of film history. I mean, yeah, we're pretty fresh off the heels of Daniel Craig concluding his time as Bond, so we'll see how the future goes. But yeah, I find it interesting to like consider Bond, and like because he's been around for so long, and I'm wondering if he'll evolve with the industry going forward, especially as things have changed so much over the last few years, or if he's just gonna fall into history. Yeah, Skyfall. I just wanted to pick this movie because I think Bond's essential, and also interesting topic for his state within the world of modern blockbusters. Ethan,
Absolutely.
I want to ask you about how you feel about Bond.
Bond, I'm either or, you know. I watched a few of the Sean Connerys, thought they were I wasn't a fan of From Russia with Love. I thought it was okay. Goldfinger, I thought was fun. I thought that was a really fun one. I think that's like a classic Bond. Like when I think of Bond, I think of that one. And then Skyfall was actually my very first James Bond film, and I remembered thinking it was great. I thought it was fantastic. Who directed this one? Was it
Sam Mendes?
Sam Mendes did this. Okay, yeah, of course. Who did the cine?
Deakins, baby.
Deakins. That's right. I was like, was it Deakins? I thought it was either him or the dude who did the Batman, but I was one of the two.
Yeah. Greg. Yeah. The goats.
The goats. They are the two best. Like I think they are the two best cinematographers working in the industry right now. Two of the best. Anyways, yeah, I just remember being blown away by the set pieces. The stakes of this mission. The villain was really intimidating. Javier Bardem, you know.
Yeah. Scary as hell.
The real highlight, I think, were the set pieces where, you know, we had Bond fighting that sniper on the tower with the screen. You know, that's become an iconic sequence, you know, just from a visual standpoint, having that purple screen, like backlight, this, you know, this choreography. And then you have the scene out in the north of England, you know, out in the mist. It was pretty cool. And like Catching Fire, I haven't seen this movie. I've only seen this movie once and in theaters. But I remember having a good time. So this was the movie that really, outside of Casino Royale, brought Bond really back into like discourse, you know, because Quantum of Solace, I remember people didn't like that one. And then he kind of went back down with Spectre. And now he's a little bit up again with No Time to Die, but who knows when we'll be seeing Bond again after that one, you know, because, you know, if you know, you know. Anyways, Brandon, what do you think of Skyfall?
I'm more of a Quantum of Solace guy.
Really?
I'm joking. I haven't seen it. I
I
haven't actually seen.
fucker.
I haven't seen Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace of James.
Me neither.
Yeah, so it's quite unique because a lot of people would say like that's one of the worst Bond films and one of the best. So I'm very well versed on the Sean Connery Bonds, and this one I actually own all of the Bonds except for Spectre and No Time to Die. I've been meaning to check them out forever, but because I got a pack of it with my dad, and I remember we watched all the Sean Connery ones together, and I love From Russia with Love. I love that movie. Dr. No's okay. Goldfinger's pretty good. And then the Thunderball's good. It's fun, but it's not great. And then You Only Live Twice, I think is what it's called. It's not very good. But I think with the Craig Bond, Skyfall is probably the best that I've seen so far. Spectre was kind of a mid disappointment. And I really like No Time to Die. I think it's definitely a step up from Spectre. And I think it pays off an arc that never happens in James Bond, like ever, that they pay off arcs. So that was cool.
Yeah.
But I think Skyfall is a very good movie. There are very good action sequences in this movie. The rooftop scene with the sniper rifle was pretty cool. The ending sequence at that manor is pretty awesome. Yeah, there's some good stuff in there. I feel like I'm not as well equipped to speak on Bond as most, even though I've seen the most of our of our friend group, it seems. Well, I don't know. I really enjoy the ending of the latest one a lot, though. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
No, I did too.
Well,
Yeah.
Brand,
Well,
tell us about a
that's my
film you
second
are
pick.
versed. Tell us a film you are versed in. What's your second pick?
Aren't you?
Oh wait, no, it's me. Fuck, sorry, my bad. All right, I'm picking John Wick. I think this was the first modern film that ushered us back into the 80s action hero, where it banked on the star being an action hero, and this time around it actually paid off. Like, I remember this being a real sleeper hit, because everyone was seeing those trailers for John Wick being like, oh, is this going to be like a Jack Reacher, like, or whatever, like a Stallone comeback movie is gonna be, or a Schwarzenegger. People weren't really banking on it until I remember actually seeing this. I convinced my parents to go see it, and we had an amazing time. I think up there with probably The Raid. This is probably some of the best action like fight choreography we've seen on film in the last 10 years. It is a very high concept story, which I love. It harkens back to a classic 70s, 80s blockbuster. All you need to know, dude got his dog killed. He's going on revenge. Easy movie to follow along with. Fucking Keanu Reeves, he delivers just as much as he needs to deliver this silent killer that has now become iconic, which is crazy. John Wick, because I remember nobody even cared about John Wick when the trailers are coming out. They're just like, oh, look at it, John Wick, whatever the hell this is. Why are they calling this movie by his name? But now everyone loves John Wick, and then like he's iconic because his name is in the films, and that's crazy that they did that. It's great world building because this film is so high concept. It's able to breathe and build a really cool world of assassins, the Continental Hotel. And sort of like they have their own currency for hitmen, and their own set of rules and morals, and you get to see that explored in this film. And, it's just, I think this film is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorite action films, Blockbusters. One of my all-time favorites. I think it's probably in my top 100. Like, I would never get tired of watching John Wick. And that's why I'd choose, yes, it's an R-rated film, but I think because of the prestige that it's built over the years, I think you can call this one of the best non-superhero blockbuster films that has come out in recent memory. Because it really does set a standard for
like Olympus Has Fallen.
No, not like Olympus Has Fallen. I would say more like White House Down.
Like Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Oh.
Kingsman: The Secret Service is based off a comic book, so I'm not counting that. But this one, completely original, R-rated action film that brought in mass appeal. That sounds like a blockbuster in my hands. What do you guys think of John Wick? Chris, what do you think?
I really like John Wick. Yeah, I never seen this when it first came out, and just being kind of blown away by it's cool to see an action, just like a straight up action movie again. It actually, Brandon, it kind of actually reminds me a lot of how I felt when I watched Nobody. And yeah, I'm really happy with the fact that John Wick has kind of grown as a cultural icon, and he's made 2 sequels, and they have the next one coming out soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun action movie about a dude just going on rampages, and it's great action. And the fact that they are so aware of that, and they also build a cool world and setting for him to be in, it's just fantastic. And it's it's one of those movies that I feel like if you know what you're going in for, you won't be let down, and you will get exactly what you want and maybe a little more. And yeah, I really like John Wick. I think it's great. Brandon, I know you're not as warm on John Wick as me and Ethan are.
Yeah.
He hasn't even seen the
sequels. You
sequels.
only have seen the first one.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, complain all you want.
And I will.
John Wick it's a simple movie. I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I think the film has a tone, and it sticks to the tone the whole way through. It's consistent. I feel like with Nobody, I think I enjoyed that movie's style a lot more than I enjoyed John Wick's. It felt like John Wick was really into how it was,
Yeah.
And I didn't vibe
too.
with that the whole time. Here. Whereas Nobody, I felt was more up my alley. They are different films, but I feel like they come from a similar place, revenge wise. And it's a simple movie. I remember the hype being so high for it when I watched it. I was like, it was good. I didn't love it. I'm sure the sequels are probably better. Just because
I don't think you'd like the
world and
second one more,
characters.
but you might like the third one more. I think the third one's on par with the first.
Well, that doesn't give me hope. So
I think it's more stylized, and I don't know. It brings in new characters. And
it just depends.
Up John Wick makes him weaker. I don't know.
I'm not in love with Neon, and I feel like these films are.
You fool!
I like
that aesthetic there is.
Oh, what is wrong with this guy?
I like it in movies like Blade Runner 2049, where it's a hyper future look, but and I like it when it's in a city like Hong Kong, but when it takes its toll in a regular sort of movie, I just don't vibe with it. It feels self-indulgent.
Damn. Somebody save this clip when Chris becomes a famous cinematographer and he uses neon in his films and they look amazing.
No.
Save this clip.
Hey, I love it in Brett and Curtis. I'd say that. That's one of the few.
I'm doing the pulling a punch. I'm doing the pull your punch from I think you should leave in the choking bit. What is Brent Curtis? Chris, tell the audience.
Brent Curtis is a short film directed by our very good friend of the show, Joey Jordan, that I shot a little while ago. Yeah.
I also like it at Hunter x Hunter.
It's just called Hunter.
Anime Boy.
Sorry, my bad. Not the anime. The one that he shot, that Chris shot.
Thank you. Anyway,
can't say
John
I'm a
Wick.
fan.
I enjoy that movie. It's fun.
John Wick. All right, good movie. Don't listen to Brandon. But let's listen to Brandon on his next pick, his second pick. We're already an hour in, and we haven't even gotten to the third round. Go.
Sorry, let's speed.
So okay, I said the second one should be another sequel. This time, let's take Tom Cruise. He's the major movie star, action movie star.
All right, which Mission Impossible movie is it?
I'm picking Rogue Nation. It's my favorite.
I knew you'd pick. I had a feeling you'd pick.
Rogue Nation is one of the best action films ever made. I personally think that. I loved Mad Max Fury Road, but Rogue Nation had my heart that summer. I still think Mad Max Fury Road's a better made movie, but Rogue Nation had excellent direction, action sequences that were genuinely unique, especially for the modern day, and it was more practical in certain senses than even Mad Max was, which that movie was hella practical as it was, but the fact that they had a scene where Tom Cruise was hanging off the side of a plane, the fight sequence in the opera house, him holding his breath underwater in that giant like containment center, the only fake part of the whole movie, although he actually did hold his breath underwater. The car chase that took place through I think it was Northern Africa. It's so good. And not only that, I feel like it develops Mission Impossible and its characters beyond just being likable, quippable protagonists, but like an actually interesting mission. And that's what the later Mission Impossible movies do right. And it feels wrong not to include something Tom Cruise related. I almost chose another Tom Cruise movie, Edge of Tomorrow, for this list. Another surprising blockbuster from him. But this guy carries the summer blockbuster more than Marvel movies, it seems. So I'm picking this movie.
Is this the 2017 one? What's the one that came out?
No, 2015. Fallout.
2015.
Fallout.
I prefer this to Fallout 100%.
Wait. So Fallout came out 2019. 2018?
Yeah.
18, I think.
No,
And then this one came out one of them I saw with my movie pass. I've seen 2 Mission Impossible movies, both in theaters.
2015? But Movie Pass wasn't around then.
Did I see this in 2015? Yeah, I've seen the one where he dives. Anyways, as you can tell, I'm not a big Mission Impossible fan because I've only seen 2 of them. And I thought Rogue Nation was good. I just didn't think it was the most amazing, incredible action movie thing I've seen. I don't know. I thought, I think I might like the other one better because I think the Henry Cavill fight scenes are cool. Like in the helicopter and flying on the plane. Yeah, when he's pulling on the mustache and all that stuff, all that jazz. But this one was cool. I can't really remember what happens besides him going into the water. I'm gonna be honest.
What the heck?
For some reason,
rewatch it, Ethan. You're gonna like it more. I swear to God.
I'm gonna watch all the ones I haven't seen, and then I'm gonna rewatch the last 2 before the next movie. I want to take a week and do that.
There you go.
This movie's not.
So because maybe if I watched the ones that came before, I'd actually like have some stake in the characters. Because I remember I was just dropped off in the middle. I'm like, who are these guys? This guy has the same name as me, and he's doing cool things. Okay, that was a cool movie, I guess. But maybe if I start to watch the franchise from the very beginning, I'll actually have some stake in the characters. But when I watched the first time, I was like, okay, cool. That was a good movie. Chris, what do you think?
I really like this movie as well. Like Ethan, I am more of a Fallout guy instead of a Rogue Nation guy. However, I will digress. I do think they are equally good movies. I just prefer Fallout because I tend to like their set pieces more. That's really the only reason. In terms of storytelling, I think they're equal to, if not exactly the same. I will say though, I will give it this. This movie has the best sequence in all of Mission Impossible, which is absolutely the
Opera House.
opera theater.
It's
opera
so
house
good.
Scene. It's the most precisely done action scene I've ever seen. So well done. Everything's well calculated. The editing in that scene is amazing.
With the music.
Yeah, the music, the lighting, the shot selection. It's great.
It feels so
this is a very
classic,
telling
bro.
movie. Yeah, it is very classically done and perfect for an opera house. Yeah, just great action movie. Tom Cruise. I love that the following trilogy, quote unquote, of the Mission Impossible movies were so much better than the first 3, at least in my opinion. And yeah, this is when they started to hit their height, and I really hope they can follow through with Dead Reckoning, which, by the way, I love that title because it has 3 punctuation marks or 2. It should have 3. But yeah, anyway, good movie. Tom Cruise does a good job. I mean, what else is new with action movies?
I would say that
That's true.
the one thing that I'm drawing away from Fallout, because like I do really like that movie. I just feel like it's lore heavy, whereas if you're looking at a standalone installment, Rogue Nation works better. But Fallout, like I'm not as big of a fan of the set pieces in that movie. Honestly, like I like the action, but like the only one that stands out to me, like they cut the train sequence or car or whatever. You know, the one that stands out to me is like the helicopter battle at the end. Like the Halo jump is cool and all, but it's not a great scene. And the fisticuffs with Henry Cavill's cool, but I don't know. It just was like, it's all right. It's good hand to hand, but I've seen better stuff in the previous movie.
Yeah, no, I get that. Okay,
I don't.
round 3.
But anyways, let's go to round 3. Chris, what's your last film?
All right, I wanted to pick a movie that showed a darker side to blockbuster movies. This is really just for conversation point. This movie made $1.159 billion in the box office, beating out Skyfall by 50 million. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm picking Minions.
Jesus.
What?
I mean, you're right. It's a
No.
blockbuster. I saw this
is a
twice in
blockbuster.
theaters, apparently once in 3D. So.
Why? How
Yes,
have you...
I saw this twice in theaters too. Twice in theaters.
I've seen this 0
At the
times.
time, and with my baby cousins because I promised them I'd take them to the movie. God, yeah, this movie fucking blows, bro.
What? Then why is it one of the best ones?
No, I didn't pick this. I'm not picking this as like a best movie. I'm picking this as a movie that depicts what modern blockbusters are like. Now, let me
Like, even
explain
the
what I
dogs
mean by
outside
this.
my window are upset. They're screaming and howling right now.
They're like, oh!
All right, tell us about fucking Minions.
Listen, the reason I'm picking this movie is okay. Well, first of all, Minions is a spin-off prequel actually for the first 2 Despicable Me films. It's actually also not only is it a story of the three Minions, Kevin, Bob, and the one that everyone forgets, who I'm forgetting
There's
right
Stu?
something.
now.
Is it Stu?
What? I don't
Stu?
know.
Stuart?
I wouldn't know.
Kevin.
Anyway, but Kevin. But yeah, so this is a prequel to those first 2 Despicable Me movies. And for me, like, I know like there's a lot of hate out there for the Minions. I get it, they're annoying. But for me, I'm able to tolerate them, and in this weird way, I kind of like them in this ironic way, and almost kind of masochistic way. But yeah, the reason I bring this movie up is because my biggest concern with modern blockbusters is less that we're getting movies that are actively terrible, but we've transitioned from having these high expectations of blockbusters to just settling for mediocrity. And you know, we're always going to get shit and we're always going to get good movies. There's always going to be something there. But the fact that we've gone to a point where we're kind of okay with movies being just these giant movies getting $1 billion just being okay. Like, there's something about that to me that's like a little like, oh, I wish we raised the standard a bit more for what would make $1 billion. And like, yeah, and like that's really what I want to talk about, because I feel like with blockbusters, especially these ones that draw so much money, is that it like a giant amount of money, the foundation of like how Hollywood works and the cultural attention it gets really hangs in the balance when a movie like this comes out. And yeah, it's weird to me that we've like there are movies out there that we've kind of like made it okay for it to be like, all right. Like some people like Minions, and that's fine. Like I hope if you like Minions and you're listening to this, I hope you don't take my words like, you know, to be rude or anything. But I really like think like these could be better. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this movie. Like it passes fine. Like it has like, I won't lie, there are jokes
there's funny
in this movie
jokes
that have made me laugh. Yeah, it has a couple of funny jokes. It's not the worst movie in the world, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is an interesting talking point just for the dark side of blockbusters. I wanted to take this to the far
2015,
end, and
man.
here we are.
There were 2 mid
What a
blockbusters
year.
that year with like Jurassic World and this, and then there was like 2 good ones with
Yeah.
Renovation and Mad Max. It's just difference.
Brandon, you've seen this
Yeah.
movie twice. Apparently.
Yeah,
Was
maybe
it
Now-
3
3?
times. I don't remember.
Please be careful with your words. We don't want to offend any Minions fans that are listening.
Hey, you never know.
Hey.
You never know if someone.
I'm imagining someone listening to Stacked, and then you bring up Minions and talking about this, and there's like, oh, my Minions movie? No. Unsubscribing.
I don't know, man.
Please
Minions.
understand, if you like Minions, this is just our opinion. All right, talk about Minions, Brandon. I'm not gonna say shit about this movie. I haven't seen Minions. I've only seen the first Despicable Me.
I've seen
Whatever.
every Despicable Me movie, including the Minions movie. Okay, so I'm considered me
Aren't
the
you a
resident expert
completionist?
on the Minions. I don't like these.
You are,
I don't
yeah.
like these guys,
The
but
expert.
my trauma begins with the movie theater experience of working at a theater and having to work the opening of this movie, and kids throwing their popcorn everywhere and having to listen to the Beatles covers that the Minions did in the credits. But I've seen this movie like 2 or 3 times in theaters. Once because there was a pre-screening, I feel like, and we watched it there as a fun group. Then because a friend from work wanted to go see it, so I was like, fine. And then I guess I saw it in 3D, but I don't think that was the same time I saw it as like with my friend. So I think I've seen it 2 or 3 times. I don't vibe with this movie particularly. I think it's mid. I don't, but it was an event. Like, people loved the Minions and they were getting their own movie, and there were parts in the trailers that did look funny, but I feel like this was before Minion fatigue fully kicked in. Like Despicable Me 3, Minion fatigue. Just a weird concept. Because like they've oversaturated the market
Minions.
with like their stupid like gibberish, and this is when I think it did start to kick in with and we're like, oh, these guys can be annoying and can't carry their own movie, much like Finding Dory in my opinion, but I digress. But Minions is like perfectly passable as a story, but it is a movie like that is made for the lowest possible demographic, which is also like the highest demographic there is, because anybody could watch this movie, literally, and that's it. I don't really have much to say other than that. I laughed a few times.
Oh, sorry, I just woke up. I just tired of talking about Minions. I get so fatigued when I hear Minions talk. The Minion fatigue got me again.
Hashtag
Never thought we'd have to talk about. I never thought we'd have to talk about Minion fatigue. I just imagine someone like seeing the Minion just going, oh, no thanks. I'm good. I'm tired of these little.
Last pick, Minions.
All right, let's go into my last pick. I am picking a blockbuster, but I am not picking a blockbuster that was made in the good-hearted United States of America. I'm not picking.
I know what you're thinking.
Brand, does Chris sound like a robot to you?
Yeah, he does.
It is the highest grossing Bollywood film overseas. It is a movie that came out this year. It is RRR, Rise, Roar, Revolt. That's what it stands for. And let me just say, this movie blew me away. When I talked about what it means to be a blockbuster, I said this movie has to have spectacle. This movie has the biggest spectacle in every category you could ever list it. It has dramatic spectacle. The story of RRR is Shakespearean. It takes place during the Indian Civil War against the British Empire, and it follows these two men who go on their own paths to rise up against the British, but their two own paths clash, and they don't know that for a while, because one man's journey is to rise up through the ranks of the British Empire as a soldier until he has the access to weapons, so then he can give weapons back to the nation of India. The other one is just to attack it head on, because the Indian Empire also. Not the Indian Empire, the British Empire, they have kidnapped his sister. So he and a few other men from his village go together and try to just figure out ways to stop the British Empire. And because this guy is rising up through the ranks, he's trying to prove himself as an officer. He's trying to catch this guy who's doing this, and he's trying to flee from this guy. But the thing is, they don't know that they're like running and catching each other, because they never see the face of like who's after them, but they still meet up and they think that they're both just friends, just doing friend things. And both of these guys are literally the most badass people you could ever imagine. I'm talking, these guys can fight a crowd of 2,000 dudes all by themselves. They can fight wild tigers with no weapons at all. They can make perfect shots with arrows. They can lift a fucking car. They can juggle motorcycles. These are the two badass men. They become friends, and it's a story about them coming together, falling apart once they learn each other's plans, but then coming back together once they learn each other's goals. And this movie has some of the most crazy action, some of the best musical numbers I've seen. Everyone knows I'm not a musical guy, but the dance numbers and the music in this movie are outstanding, and they're perfectly placed throughout this 3-hour runtime. And like I said, the drama of this between the brotherhood between these two badass men is just beautiful. And I watched this movie on Saturday. I sat there in awe on the couch, and I knew that I had to pick this as my last film. I was originally going to have Baby Driver as my last film, but once I saw this, I was like, nah, I got to throw this out. RRR is one of the best spectacle films I've ever seen, and it has come out in this last decade. It's come out in this year. And if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you all to check it out. Brandon and Chris, I know neither of you have seen it, but it's on Netflix. So if you ever have spare 3 hours, watch RRR. You won't regret it.
Yeah, was fortunate enough to have seen another Bollywood movie of my own last year, in this movie called Akanda, and that was a lot of fun. Ethan, I can totally see what you mean by like how the spectacle of these Bollywood movies are really something special. I think especially considering that like the three of us especially like kind of come at it from these very like Western eyes, because frankly, yeah, movies like this cannot be made like this in America. Like this is, you throw this in front of an executive here, they will kick you out of the building before you can even take back your tape. There is something kind of to be said about how the blockbuster definition is a lot more malleable than you think, and I think India especially has figured out a niche in that category very well. One thing I will say about RRR though is I've heard that, I forget the name of the director, I'm absolutely butchering this pronunciation, Rajamouli, or Rajamouli. I've heard that he has some very shall I say controversial depictions of tribal people in these across all of his movies, and apparently this one also draws that same criticism.
Really?
And obviously, but then again, I'm just reading stuff. Like this is not something that I've observed myself. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie myself. And also, we are seeing these as like from Western lenses. Like we don't understand the political and social cultural like nuances behind whatever. But yeah, that is something I've heard about this movie. For even as much as people will, I also say that this movie does kick absolute ass. The trailers speak for themselves, absolutely. And yeah, that's just something I wanted to throw in there because I've heard that before, and I'm curious. I'm curious if that rings true, at least to me. But then again, I'm not Indian. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. RRR, I've heard really good things from a lot of people, and I heard it's a lot of fun. And having seen Akanda, I can see why these movies can fucking rock. So yeah.
I wish I'd seen it in the theater when it was playing.
Yeah, it was in theaters.
Because if I had the same experience that you had with the Bollywood movie you saw, that would have been
it was
insane.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
dude. If any people here listening who go to Bollywood movies regularly, like that shit is amazing. Like the energy in that room is different. Marvel can't compete with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Brandon, you haven't seen this movie. Do you have anything you want to
I had an Indian foreign exchange student when I was in high school. My friend
and that's about it.
No, my friend and brother Akash, one a great friend. He introduced me to a lot of Bollywood cinema. Three Idiots, one of my favorites. I know it's stereotypical, but it's great. Dil Chahta Hai, it's another good one. There are a few meh ones that I've seen out of his work, or out of the works of the Bollywood artists out there. I feel like a lot of their films are structured very similarly, But I remember, I can't. I think it was our freshman year or sophomore year of college. We saw Dil Se, and
Yes.
I adore that movie. So I mean, when Bollywood hits, it hits hard, and I almost, because I remember it was getting some hype out here. I almost got tickets to this, but I
almost got
couldn't.
tickets
I
for it
could
too.
not
Me
fit it
too.
into my schedule.
Because it's so long.
It's so long, and it was at a time when I was working a lot. So I just didn't get to see it. There was no showtime that worked for me, and then the next week it was gone. When the time opened up, it was gone. So I was like, shit. Well, I don't know when I'm going to see this, because distribution of Bollywood films can be not good here in America. Sometimes they get they get DVD releases and rentals, and sometimes it's like you're probably never going to see the movie again. But because of its success, it's here. So we do get to see it soon. I worked like 33 hours this weekend, so I haven't really had the opportunity, hence why Ethan saw it and I didn't, but I'll be sure to check it out as soon as possible. It's on my Netflix list.
Absolutely. Go check it out. All right. Let's hit the final film here. We're an hour and a half in.
Hey,
Brandon's
sometimes our
bring it home.
best
Let's bring it home.
episodes are long, guys. You gotta admit that, right?
That's true. That's true.
There's a lot to say. I wanted to pick a subversive blockbuster, more so subversive in its reputation and its doings as a film, rather than it being a subversive blockbuster. Because I picked two very conventional ones. I'm picking The Last Jedi.
Whoa.
That is a subversive.
2013, 2015, 2017. Because this doesn't necessarily give fans what they want. And I feel like everybody's initial reaction to The Last Jedi, whether or not you actually love it or hate it now, was, well, that was different. And it really is. I mean, I think it's a unique Star Wars film. I think it's a space film, so that differs it from my other two, which are either grounded or set in a future dystopia. This is set in space, a galaxy far, far away, and I love this film. I remember really liking it when I came out of it, and now I love it. I think it's one of the best Star Wars things that there is out there, up there with like Rogue One and 2 of the original trilogy. And the reason I think that is because I feel like what they gave Rian Johnson was a chance to do something different. It rhymes with the previous Star Wars films. There's a parentage reveal, initial parentage reveal in the film. There's great action, great character development with legacy characters, as well as your newer characters that you're just getting to know well now. Yes, there's a sequence in the middle that will drag for some, but I actually find the sequence compelling for a number of reasons, mainly dissecting the light and the dark and how there is like a gray area that they really don't explore in the world of Star Wars, not just like Jedi and Sith, but like what are normal people doing during this time. And they don't really dissect class in these movies, and I think they do here. And it is a very subversive movie with its like style and structure. It's one of the best looking Star Wars movies and one of the most unique. And for that, I'm giving it all its props and all its due, because I love this movie. It was either going to be this or Star Trek Into Darkness, but I vibe with this one more. So
yeah, no, I get that. For me, like I've had a very turbulent relationship with The Last Jedi. Because
we saw this together.
We did see this movie together. I remember when I first saw it, I was really hyped on it, and then I would think about it more, and there were things that I was like, oh, I didn't like that much, and then. And then I'll be like, oh, wait, but I really like this thing. But there's this thing I don't like. And it's like half the time I'm loving it. And the other half I'm like, So like it's a very like up and down relationship I have with this movie. It has definitely gotten a lot better since Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. For
sure. That is the problem with modern cinema right there.
Yeah, I should have picked that as a movie. But yeah, like Last Jedi is a movie that I think, even if like you don't vibe with this movie, like personally, like its status as a movie is really interesting, because it's rare, because a lot of these blockbuster movies tend to play it like somewhat safe on some level. It's like, okay, you know the story, you know what they're trying to go for here. It's simple, it's straightforward, easy to follow. And the spectacle is what draws it in. But something about the way this narrative is handled is pretty subversive. They do things that make, like, I remember seeing it and just be like, wait, what? Like, spoiler alert, when Snoke dies in this movie, I remember just being like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Huh?
And like just being like, that's awesome. It's great that I literally don't know what's going on. And that's kind of awesome to have in a blockbuster Star Wars movie, because like, as much as I hate to say it, like there was a time, like, okay, maybe at the time when they were released, it was hard to predict, but like looking back at like the Star Wars movies now, especially that first one, it's a very clean and cut movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, it's nice to have something like spice it up a bit. And yeah, I appreciate that about this movie, even though I do have some flaws with it, but nonetheless, I think it's a good movie. And I can tell Ryan Johnson put his heart and soul into it. And even if you don't like it, you got to respect that the guy did try. He really did try. And yeah. Ethan, do you have any thoughts on Last Jedi?
Yeah. So, when I first saw this movie, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then the second time, I thought it was great. And then the third time, still thought it was fine. It was great. And then from then on, it went down to just being just good for me. I think The Last Jedi is just a good film. It's not a great, and it's a frustratingly just a good film, because it has some of the best explorations and moments in Star Wars as a whole. Deconstructing the Jedi and what it means to be the hero, in a hero's journey, and what it means to be an important character. Everything they do with Luke and Rey in this movie is perfect.
Agreed.
I love it. Everything else, so boring.
I hate you.
So stupid.
I hate you.
The running from the Resistance, so repetitive and boring. Princess Leia flying through space like Mary Poppins. So I don't like it at all.
You are wrong.
Canto Bite reminds me of Attack of the Clones.
You are wrong.
I know what they're trying to say here. I like the dialogue they're trying to create with sort of what the rest of the galaxy is doing in terms of creating weapons and fueling both sides of this war. It should have been done in another movie. That's not what this is about. I don't like there's too much in this movie. Why are you doing that? And there's just not enough time focused on it. Instead, they're freeing weird alien horses galloping around, Broom Kid, little burping alien on R2D2 on BB-8. What's his name?
This is
God damn it. What is it? No. Benicio del Toro totally wasted in this movie. Doing a little, I don't know what the hell he's doing. It's just, it hurts my head that this stuff is not interesting, because I know it can be interesting, but it's just played off so disappointingly that it retracts from all the stuff that is so amazing. The rest of the stuff that people usually hate, I defend all that stuff. I can't defend everything else that's in this movie. It's pretty dull.
What
is
is wrong
so
with
dull.
you?
I don't. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you?
I would explain.
How do you? No time to explain.
Yes, there is
We're at
time.
An hour and 37 minutes.
No, yes, there is time.
I'm not letting you defend.
No,
I'm not letting you defend yourself.
I gotta defend this.
I'm not letting...
You can't let this happen. You can't.
I'll give you 2 minutes to defend yourself.
Okay.
All right.
I got a counter right here. 3, 2, 1.
What's
go.
interesting is you're saying that this is like a useless waste of time, but this is exactly what happens in fucking Empire Strikes Back. This is why poetry repeats itself. Them running away from the fucking Empire was what they were doing half of the movie in the original Empire. And they're doing that here, but it's much more interesting and subversive because they've actually got moving parts going on. You got a group over here who's dealing with agnostic part of the not the Empire, but like Galactic Federation, where these people are like, yeah, who cares about good and evil? We're just making money off of it. And then you've got this other half where this guy's dealing with his actual ego the whole time in the military, which is really interesting because you never see the Flyboys executed in any interesting way in these Star Wars movies. Han Solo barely has an arc in the original movie other than coming back when he like in at the end of New Hope. And that's so interesting to experience with Poe Dameron as a cool character and him playing out with Admiral Holdo, which makes the sacrifice at the end even more compelling. Yes, there are some fake outs of this movie that don't work for me very well, but The Last Jedi does those storylines far better in some cases than Empire does. So I think there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. And I like it better than Empire in certain cases. I really do. I'm gonna stop now.
Okay, you didn't even use a minute and a half. Good job.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear any of that. Can you repeat that? Did that pick up with the mic?
It's okay. The people heard me,
kidding.
and the people will.
The people. Let me tell you, Brandon. Whatever he just said, I heard him well, but I think he's wrong. I think he's so wrong because he's disillusioned by just being a naysayer. And quite honestly, I think these scenes are boring. I don't care what development it does. It's just not entertaining people.
He just
and
doesn't
that's
like
just all I
Kelly
have to
Marie
say.
Tran, guys. He's the kind of a racist figure in the Star Wars community.
What? Oh, go listen back to our Night at the Museum commentary track to find out who's the true racist.
What?
All right, everybody.
What are you talking about?
Oh, well, what? I didn't antagonize the black guy in that movie. No, I didn't do that at all. Yeah, sure. All right, let's move on. Let's round them up. Chris, what were your 3 movies?
My movies were Top Gun Maverick, Skyfall, and Minions.
All right, my 3 movies were Sonic the Hedgehog 2, John Wick, and RRR. Brandon, I'm gonna say yours because you're gonna get them out.
I'm gonna say the Hunger Games,
Mission
Fire,
Impossible,
Rogue Nation,
and the Last
Jedi.
Hey, you did it right this time. You have a pitch? Yeah, let's hear your pitch.
All right, I say Top Gun Maverick.
We talked a half hour.
I think we can all
movie.
agree on that.
We talked too much about that, and we're never gonna talk about the movie again. Top Gun Maverick, RRR. I think it's nice to get the international side in there, and also this more kind of rambunctious side of blockbusters. Rambunctious, what am I, 80? And I really liked either Brandon's Star Wars pick or Brandon's Man, what was your first one?
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games Catching Fire.
Oh, what was your second one?
Mission Impossible.
Possible Rogue Nation. I don't think we should do Rogue Nation.
I would pick Mission Impossible, but we have two Tom Cruises already.
Yeah.
I really want to
do Last Jedi
for Top Gun and.
I don't think we should do any of his.
I made such great pitches. Like
I think we should pick Minions instead.
No, I actually will say I do think Last Jedi works because I think Top Gun is like how to do a legacy sequel well and like a conventional blockbuster really, really well. RR is like the far end of blockbusters where things can be the most insane and wild spectacle.
But also it's in the past.
And Last Jedi is subversive.
But also a futuristic. It's a mixture. Like it's like a mixture of like
fantasy as well and all.
It's nice. I think it's a good combination to have. I know they're all different movies. I think they're all doing different things.
I would say my pitch would start Top Gun, keep it that's clean, simple, straightforward blockbuster movie. Go to Star Wars Last Jedi for like the subversion, and they go to RR for the absolute wild spectacle for the very end.
Does it have a bomb ending?
I'm down with that.
Was that a bomb ending?
I
don't know.
It does have a bomb ending. It has a great bomb ending. I mean, it's a Bollywood movie, so it ends with a great dance number and song, you know?
Yeah.
How does your movie
start? What a great way to end this trilogy.
How does your movie start?
I'm okay with it. I like every movie that Brandon picks, so I'm like, that's fine. But that means if we ever do like a stacked episode on Star Wars movies, we can't pick Last Jedi, and that's fine with me too. So
I mean, we're never gonna do that.
We're
not gonna do that.
We've already lost
Rogue
like
One,
a lot of
Revenge of the Sith.
Already.
That's
We already lost so many of the good ones.
Yeah, I'm picking Attack of the Clones, the Clone Wars animated movie, and Solo.
Boom! Quintessential, baby.
All right, let's run it down.
Yep. All right, let's run down our quintessential list of non-superhero modern blockbusters, starting with Chris. You want to kick us off?
All right, our first movie is the recently released Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski, a legacy sequel to the 1986 classic Top Gun, one that builds upon the original in every way, does it better in every single way, and is just not only a thrilling action film, but a surprisingly heartfelt and well done drama film as well. Very little to complain about this movie. Go check it out. Next up is Brandon.
Our next film is a wonderful subversive blockbuster in The Last Jedi. Whether you love it or hate it, you're going to get something interesting out of this one from a blockbuster perspective. Does great stuff with the characters and spectacle. Very different.
And our last film, our very last one of this Stacked podcast, very good film. Not even from America. Usually I'd hate that stuff. If it's not made in America, I wouldn't have it. It's RRR. It is spectacle in every sense of the word. The two most badass humans on Earth are best friends, and it's a drama about their friendship and revolting up against the British Empire that's taken over their country. Beautiful film. Go watch it. You'll have a good time. All right. There's our feature-length episode of Stacked, hour and 44 minutes going on right there. Thank you all for listening to this episode. I want to end this episode by doing a fun activity that I was thinking of. What would everyone's call sign be if you were in Top Gun?
Do you know what is an American thing, right? Like we're playing by that rule. Like Top Gun's an American thing.
Yeah, Chris, say you were allowed into Top Gun, okay?
Dragon. I would one way or another end up being called Dragon. I guarantee.
Dragon. Yeah.
I'm feeling,
and I think that's cool because dragons fly.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. I'll take that. That's an honor.
That'd be great. What about you, Brandon?
There's an app called What's My Call Sign, and I'm currently taking it. Shout out to the friend of the show, Brandon Klubeck, who showed me how to do this. Let me
pull mine up. Ethan, do you have an idea for what you'd want yours?
No, I want to do this too.
Yeah,
what'smycallsign.com.
Got it.
Oh, it's the Top Gun website. I'm on it right now. It is super laggy.
Yeah, but I'm getting it.
Look at that.
I'm almost there.
Yeah. Here we go.
Is it okay? It's just my first name. Start mission.
Mine is
allow camera for AR. What the fuck? I'm not doing this shit. I can't do it on my laptop.
I got a helmet.
Brandon Klubeck's is wisdom.
Wisdom?
Mine is solstice.
I'm doing my quiz right now. Solstice.
Look at that. Look at that.
Solstice. I'm gonna say mine's Wood Ape, because if you know, you know. I think Wood Ape is a good one. Call sign Wood
Brandon,
Ape.
if you got to pick yours, what would it be?
Oh
my god. Mine, the one I got from the Top Gun website is Diablo. That's
Diablo.
Cool.
That is cool.
I think mine would be Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit. I think yours would be String Bean.
Better than Bob.
Boom. Better than Bob.
Three of us are like a crew of amazing pilots. String Bean, Dragon.
Can you edit our
Ethan, can you edit that?
Can you edit our call sign on
What do you mean edit that? How would I do that?
But you could
edit that.
Put on our heads, our heads.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. All right.
Easy. I can
Dragon,
do that.
Wood Ape, and
String Bean.
And String Bean.
Okay,
I'll take it.
That's perfect. All right. This is String Bean, Dragon, and Wood Ape. Flying out, signing off, check it off. We've already ended an episode of us flying away. So, you know how I'm gonna end this episode?
No.
Like this.